all right, man, which is it? You with us or you with them? And he's trying to make it not an us or them situation. Well, it is. And you're going to lose the team over this if you haven't lost them already. Right? Because it's not even like if they were winning, you might be able to get away with this. But it's not just that they're not winning, it's that they're not good. And I made this point on Monday, but I'll make it again. There is no reason on earth why Sam Ehlinger should be your best player at the University of Texas. No reason whatsoever. J.K. Dobbins is from Texas. Garrett Wilson is from Texas. I mean, we can keep going here. Baker Mayfield was from Texas. Adrian Peterson was from Texas. Like, the number of dudes that come out of Texas that are better than Sam Ehlinger is myriad. Matter of fact, he wasn't even like I don't think he was a top 150 player. Maybe 150. Because, like, Tylan Wallace was heavily under-recruited, and he ranked just behind Sam Ehlinger in, like, the Texas recruiting class. And I was going, wait a second. Tylan Wallace is a gem. Like, kudos to Casey Dunn, who found him at Dallas Skyline and said, yo, man, I think you could be the best dude ever to play wide receiver here. And he's very close to that. But Tylan Wallace is also a better player than Sam Ehlinger. That should never be the case. A wide receiver at Oklahoma State should never be the best player, be a better player than your quarterback or even your best player at Texas. It just shouldn't happen.
But we say that this is a conversation we've had for 15 years, that Texas owns this real estate in the hearts and minds of everybody as being a top-tier university. And they are a top-tier university, just not in football. Mm. And they may never have been, except for that period between Ricky Williams and Vince Young.
1960 to 1969.
Okay, and the 60s.
Right.
So there you go.
When it was segregated as hell. Like, Texas still gets the distinction of being the last team to win a national championship with an all-white roster in 69. And it got to be so, like, the thing that people said in, like, the early 70s that Darrell Royal was like, yo, Arkansas was all white and they were number 2. Be like, yo, we weren't the only ones doing this. We just were the best at doing it. And that makes it better. And then there's the Eric Dickerson story. You heard that story, right? Of Darrell Royal recruiting Eric Dickerson?
Relay it to me one more time.
So Darrell Royal goes to Eric Dickerson's grandmama's house to recruit Eric Dickerson. Eric ain't home. So he sits and talks with grandmama, because that's what you do, right? You recruit the parents as much as you recruit the kid. Eric Dickerson walks through the door, and Darrell Royal, still seated, says to Eric Dickerson, hi, Eric. I'm Darrell K. Royal, head coach at University of Texas. Eric Dickerson said, you're in my seat. And Darrell got up and said, it's yours, son. And he walked the hell up out the door. And that is the thing that apparently broke Darrell Royal. He no longer wanted to coach football after that. Because he's like, look, I don't care if I go on vacation to Greece. I'm thinking about this sophomore that I should probably give a phone call to. And apparently, Eric Dickerson was just not in it for Texas. But Eric Dickerson was also just wild because that man had the Trans Am brought up to his house, or took the Trans Am from Texas A&M that they gave him and drove it to SMU, where he was going to go play college ball. So Eric Dickerson is already just on one as a child. But I love that story because I think Bob Stoops has had that same epiphany about recruiting. And you can kind of see it in the rankings. You know, like the dudes that like to recruit, Nick Saban liked to be on the phone, Mac Brown liked to be on the phone, Lincoln Riley liked to be on the phone. But I got to believe that after a time, like Urban Meyer used to like to be on the phone. Then he started getting headaches. And I think it's a lot of that has to do with the phone. Like you're on it. You're on it all the time. Talking to all of these kids. Some you win, most of them you lose. So the idea that Tom Herman also sucks at, fielding a football team while also being a king recruiter, I don't know that I would want to coach football after coaching in Texas. Because, you made this point about, Texas is never as good as people think that they should be. Charlie Strong was a good coach before he got to Texas, right? So was Tom Herman, we think, yeah?
Yes.
Short of Mac Brown, who showed up to Texas and got better or stayed the same.
Don't tell me Texas is a trap.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Texas, this you have enough money, your program becomes a trap. You have enough eyes, program becomes a trap. This is where I don't know. I didn't mean to just absolutely dump on Texas for this entire time.
I did.
But continue. Go ahead. This isn't from me. But just for the past couple of decades, think about all the players that went on to be award winners, NFL players, All Americans, All Conference players that we hold in very high regard. That are from Texas, but didn't go to Texas. And they were all the types of dudes that I'd say had no reason to not go to Texas other than the fact that Texas just couldn't get them. And if you are in the amount of those dudes are legion, right? You bring up like every time that I see a player that is, oh yeah, they made it to the league. Oh, they're from SMU. I think like this isn't football, but I'm like, man, Shake Milton with the SMU. What wasn't Texas doing?
So I got a Shake Milton story. I'm still working at Sooner Scoop at the time, and I'm covering basketball. And Shake Milton is getting ready to commit at Owasso in the Wellness Center. I go up there with Eddie Rado and like one other dude for his announcement, such as it was. And all the folks that are there are OU people. Shake Milton gets up in front of us and says, I'm committing to SMU. And I had never been so mad before in my life. Because I'm like, yo, man, you could have told us not to. You know what? Never mind. You go ahead, you go play with Larry Brown. Because, like, everybody in that room was under the distinct impression that Shake Milton was going to the University of Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
So, like,
yeah, he was a bad example. I was looking at I've been geeking over the SMU jerseys for the past few years.
James Prochet is at Baltimore. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's one. But like that's your point is taken. Like that's y'all one every year. Like Cortland Sutton at Denver, that's one, right? Like we expected Reggie Robertson, but then he got hurt. Did Shane Buechele get drafted? That's a really interesting question. Like he's one of the better quarterbacks in college football. But he's also a really good college player, as they say. You know, he's a college player. Doesn't matter that he leaves the University of Texas and gets... How do you leave the University of Texas as starting quarterback? Because you're not good enough, apparently, to beat out Sam Ehlinger. Go to Southern Methodist and then turn Southern Methodist into a ranked program, while the University of Texas is an unranked program.
Is this just the universe writing itself? Like it's a long ride, but is this what is supposed to happen? Is that SMU is supposed to be higher than Texas? Is that actually the natural order of things?
Golly. I mean, I haven't been around for that part of life, though. To be fair, neither one of us have been around for that part of life.
No, I'm just what as we were developing sports fans, there's only a handful of stories that go around. It's the Bulls, Yankees, Lakers, Wayne Gretzky, and at the SMU death penalty. Like that's the story. Like if SMU was never any good, we would never talk about it. I'm just talking now.
Well, all right. So to go on your point here. What have we been raised to believe about the Chicago Cubs? They will suck forever because they traded a GOAT or some such nonsense. And then they win a World Series. And we're taught, the Boston Red Sox are also cursed, Buckner and all that. And then they become a juggernaut. Stuff has been happening. I think, something your mom told me, you just got, you got to get old. That's all. But it's still kind of boggling my mind that SMU is an undefeated ranked power. And the University of Texas is just as bad as they were 10 years ago. Not even 10 years ago. Well, yeah, 10 years ago, 2010. It's like 09 is over and done with. Ron, thank you for on Wednesday.
Hey, you're very welcome anytime. I do want to say this.
Go for it.
For claim national championships, Texas has 4, SMU has 3. That's it. That's for program, for whoever's keeping the scoreboard on how good Texas is supposed to be and how good SMU is supposed to be. It's pretty close.
Now I need SMU to go undefeated, get a New Year's 6th berth, and claim a 4th national championship.
Need it.
Yeah. I guess we're SMU fans now. I guess that's what that is.
What'd it do?
All right. That is going to do it for us. I'll see y'all in like an hour. Deuces.